sorry I'm late. I was trying to get things together and I realized what time it was. And if you believe that I'm that dedicated to schedules, then you're going to believe everything I tell you about right now. Truth is, I usually start something out here so people get used to my countenance. You're not so freaked out when the point really hits you. Not so much that you forget everything I said. Brings you in a little bit closer so that you can remember what I said. And if you've got any arguments left to give, you can actually focus on what it is I'm talking about. The interesting thing from the comments, and I'm told they're bots, but some of them I know they're not. What I notice is that they come back and they say, hey, and they talk about something that has nothing to do with what I was talking about. I'm like, that's just collateral bullshit. That's the stuff that goes around that's connected, not a cause. It just happens to be there with the whole environment, you know. What I was going to talk about was I asked for a book. I didn't ask for a book. Not yet. My friend Nolan said he wanted me to read a book. And it was a book called Rivethead. It's by a buddy of that Michael Moore guy's. This guy, Rivethead, worked in the factory in Flint, Michigan. And he would write stories in the newspaper. He was like a regular contributor. How he'd get all fucked up at work and how they worked it out to where one guy could do both guys' jobs and the other one guy could go out and drink in the parking lot and take a nap, and then they'd switch, things like that. He was exposing things. Nolan wanted me to read this book. And I'm like, okay. And as so often happens, somebody offers me something and I get something more than what they expected me to get. It's a gift for both of us because I share. He was taking me down into his basement to try and find this book in a box full of books called Rivethead. He's like, you really need to read this. And he picked this one up along the way. And I said, you know, it's not the best art in the world. I don't know where they got it. I said, but look at that. That was me riding a horse, a winged horse, naked, while death sits beneath. I got a picture of death up there. We've come in contact a few times. At least I know he's been watching. This is a book called Behold the Pale Horse. I said, what's that? And he saw this by this guy, Bill Cooper. And it's got stuff in it. He says, the stuff he said about the UFOs, he later recanted on. It is not heresy, and I will not recant to the devil and daughter, Christopher Lee. Worshipping, I think Peter. But it's got things in here in the appendix, addendums. It's got court cases. It's got something about the New World Order. It's got UFOs in Area 51. And it's got articles and citations and all kinds of stuff. This guy ended up in trouble. He's dead now. But it's got his service records are even in here. And U.S. Army intelligence connection with Satanic Church. There's a story about that. When I was in the Army between 87 and 91, 90 mostly, because I was in Iraq in 1991, Saudi Arabia, Iraq. There was something going on where they were talking about satanic groups in the Army, in the barracks. And I was like, I don't care. That's their own fucking religion, right? But it turns out it's not the Satanists we've got to worry about being hooked up with the military. It's the fucking Christian nationalists. Who would have ever imagined that God might be the problem? Documentation, but there, here it is. It's I've got papers in here. Don't pay attention. There's something written on the backside of that. But these are the protocols of the wise men of Zion. And for a long time, I've been meaning to talk about this book for years. And I'm like, gosh, I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to give these megalomaniacs any ideas. But as it turns out, and I've said it already once before, it seems to me that they were studying the stuff that in the book about Saddam Hussein I've got over there. There was a book about cults that once I could have had, and I denied it because I don't want to know how easy it is to make a cult, because I think I'd probably be pretty good at it, and I don't want to fuck anybody up. If I wanted to have the responsibility of children, I would have had some of my own and stuck around. The thing is, I decided I didn't want to talk about it, but it's just too bad. It's like they were studying the stuff already. The Protocols of the Wise Men of Zion. This is a book that when Nolan offered it to me and allowed me to read it, and I did read the Rivethead book too, but this I read on the toilet every morning in 2016 after I got it. And I watched every day something I read on the toilet in the morning. That night when I got home from work, they were talking about it in the news. I'm like, this is that fucking guy. I knew he was poor. I knew he'd bankrupted everything he'd touched already. Just because when there's somebody that famous in the world as you're growing up, if you didn't watch The Apprentice or Celebrity Apprentice or wherever the hell it is, then you didn't ever get the sense that he was doing good business, because everything he touched, you'd see he was a wealthy man, he'd be on Letterman, but then you'd hear about it in the news and he's bankrupting casinos and shit and saying, what do you mean that's an Indian? Doesn't look much like an Indian to me. What the fuck is going on? Sitting in a court? They were talking about him, and I can go through it. It's been a while. I'm not going to go through it. You can do it on your own. You can't. If I were somebody that were fucking searching things out and putting pieces of paper across the screen while I talk, well, I'd be doing better than I am. I don't care that much about any of this. While I'm reading this, they spoke about, and this is in 2016, before he even got elected. It was leading up to it. Every day fucking shared a new piece of information, a new clue to the future, because it's already been written, so let it be written, so let it be done. These fucking people, they have an idea. They're supposed to be like Illuminati or something, I don't know. But I think my cigarette went out. I come across this stuff and it's talking about how the idea of these people that are ruling the world and looking across borders, nations. This is written a while ago, so it's pretty close to the beginning of fucking the United States. It's in that area. You have to figure it out for yourself. But they said they let them go, and the way they'll infiltrate them, they will offer them a clown to be a president, and the clown will follow their ways and screw everything up, every bit of order. And then they're going to put people in positions. If nobody's loyal, then they will not be. It's got it all right in here, and it's practically Project 2025. Talk about a conspiracy theory. The guy wrote a fucking book about it. And I had made the question of, okay, after voted out, he got voted out. Biden at that time, nobody knew what kind of job he was going to do. They just voted for him to get that fucker out of there. They were sick of listening to him. And I looked at that, and I've said it since. I say, well, okay, they put the clown, which Biden actually called Trump in the little debate they had in 2020. One of them, at one point, Trump's over there going, ah, bah, 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 and Biden just looked and said, oh, listen to this clown. Just look at this clown. He called him a clown. He read the book. But I said, well, what about if the clown doesn't stay? He gets elected out right away. I said, he didn't get elected out. What happens if the clown is still there? They don't talk about that. And the clown didn't ever leave, and he's back. The clown didn't leave. So now you've got the clown. It's been upheld. And the next step, they talk about how they make that country that would stand against them and what they're trying to do, they would put them in debt, and they would raise their debt so much that at the time that they became a real serious problem, they would call the debt, and it will bankrupt the nation, and that nation who stands against them will fall apart. So now we have the clown is smiling in public again. Smiling. And he wants to eliminate the debt ceiling so we can go so far in debt. You don't have to believe the clown, the fool, knows what he's doing. All you have to believe is that it seems like he's part of all this happening. Behold the pale horse. I'm not given any ideas anymore. They've been following this thing all along.